This is the City of Waupaca's City Plan Commission meeting.
All right, welcome everybody. Before we start the City Planning Commission meeting tonight, we actually have a public hearing that we have to take care of first, and we'll do that. This is a public hearing for a special use permit for the Waupaca School District and the Home and Away Ministries as the agent for this property. I call this meeting to order. In attendance, we have Keelan, Olson, Fair, Barons, Mayor Brian Smith, and our city administrator, Aaron Johnson, and also staff, Andrew Dane, and a number of people in the audience. The purpose of the hearing, Aaron, or Andrew, can you just explain a little bit about this?
I can give a high-level overview and let you guys jump in as needed here.
Okay.
I mean, Aaron's been a little closer
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So a couple months ago, we were approached by first the school district saying that they wanted to subdivide lots that used to be the transportation garage. They had a prospective buyer, which we've since learned is Home and Away Ministries, for Lot 4. And the use of that lot in what would be Lot 4 as we move through this would require a special use permit for them to operate in the way that they're looking to operate. So that's what we're here doing tonight, discussing that and deciding whether to approve it. Staff has worked through this with both parties, has no major concerns whatsoever, and you can see that in the reports in the packet. That's what we're here to discuss tonight. So.
Okay, and you can see in your packet that this public notice for the special use permit was published in the newspaper on October 17th and the 24th. So this is just the end process of the public hearing. We are then looking for anybody that would like to give testimony in favor of the special use permit for this property. If you'd like to give testimony in favor, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor of? Do we have any testimony in opposition? Hearing no testimony in opposition, I declare this public hearing closed at 5:19 p.m. So let's go right into the Planning Commission meeting as soon as I get my packet up here. All right, this is our regular scheduled City Planning Commission meeting. We have an agenda in front of you. Let's just state that the same number of people, or the same people, are at the Planning Commission that were at the public hearing. We only have one absent, and that's John Kinnear, was unable to be here tonight. So we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Olson, that we approve the agenda as printed. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. You have some minutes from the October 2nd, 2000 meeting, the October 2nd, 2019 meeting. That's in your packet. Again, we just vote on these so that we could place them on file that you approve.
So moved for the record.
Second.
Motion by Fair, second by Barrett, that we approve the minutes from the October 2nd, 2019 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, into the meat. Action items. We have a preliminary development plan review, which plan unit development for West Fulton Street and the Stone Ridge Road. Andrew?
Okay, thank you. I'll give just a little background on where we are with this project, and then Jackie McElroy, yes, with SC Swiderski, the developers, here tonight also to give a short 5-minute presentation overview of kind of where they are in the project. But just to give a little bit of perspective, I believe it was, according to notes here, in 2007 where the city approved a planned unit development for the site of, excuse me, Timber Ridge Estates, I believe, off of State Highway 54, West Fulton Street. That was a two-phase project at that time. You approved the development plan, and the first phase was 6 multi-unit residential, multifamily unit apartment buildings that were constructed. And the second phase of that project, in the lower half of that parcel towards the road, was identified as planned commercial office in the future. And that use did not materialize for a number of factors. The property, there wasn't enough market interest in that property for the developer, never got any interest in that property to be redeveloped as commercial. And with the increasing demand for residential and the desire to get more housing into the city, the developers approached us probably about 6 months ago, expressing an interest to move forward, to kind of take a different tack, to move forward with a residential focus for that phase 2. We had some discussions back and forth, and we're kind of here today to sort of continue down the process of rezoning this property to allow for the residential use in place of the planned commercial use. So we put together a little staff report here and kind of went through, based on the preliminary plan that was put together. We put together, myself and working with Justin and others, kind of reviewed the proposal as it stands to date, have some comments here, which we can address and discuss, I think, after Jackie's presentation. But I think the main point is tonight we wanted to just get an early peek at kind of what they're planning up there, give you an opportunity to familiarize yourself a little bit more with the project, certainly an opportunity to bring up any issues or concerns we might have at a high level. And then ultimately, we're looking for a recommendation to approve the rezoning of 2 commercially zoned properties to residential use. And that recommendation will carry forward to Common Council through the regular approvals process, requiring a public hearing. But if that is approved here, or if you make that recommendation, approve the rezoning, then that'll give the developer the assurance to move forward with the project in more detail, develop more detailed engineering plans, et cetera. So I guess with that, I thought it might be nice just to hear from Jackie, let her kind of describe the project first, and then we can have a little discussion if there's regarding any issues or concerns folks have. So with that, I will get you set up while you're introducing yourself here.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of information about our project. So I am Jackie McElroy. I'm the Business Development Manager at SC Swiderski, and we are a comprehensive real estate, construction, and property management company, and we specialize in multifamily development. So we have 23 locations throughout the state, and we're looking to expand on the site that we currently have here in Waupaca. That's just a list of all of our locations and kind of how I describe our process. Everything we do is in-house, so at the end, we're trying to provide great units for our customers, and we start with acquisitions in real estate. We have our own architecture and design team. We do our own construction and excavation on our site. Once the building's done, we hand it over to our property management team, and we maintain our buildings. They become part of our real estate portfolio. So we are not builders that build for anyone else except for ourselves, and we think that's a pretty nice model. On the property management side, I just like to make sure I mention that we're very comprehensive. So our leasing team, they are full-time salary employees that are trained. They follow all fair housing guidelines. We have our own maintenance team. They do 99% of the work on our units. Nothing is outsourced. They're also consulted through the construction process, so they're very familiar with our units, and they're on call 24 hours for emergency maintenance. We do our own painting, cleaning, landscaping, snow removal, groundskeeping, and lawn care. So very comprehensive on the property management side. So if you've had an opportunity to see our other units, you'll see they're very well maintained inside and out. As far as the Waupaca market, we had shared some information that we've had the land in front of our property for sale for several years, and there's been no interest in commercial development on that site. Meanwhile, on the apartment side, we've had very strong growth. So usually you like to see about 5% vacancy rate means it's a very strong apartment market, but you can see over the past decade we keep going down, and this is kind of indicating that there's not enough supply in your market for apartments. And we have some direct experience at our own site. So we currently have 96 units, and you can see over the last year it was 100% occupied. All months except 1 month there was one available unit. So we are fully occupied. We get steady inquiries on that site that we're not able to service those people because we don't have any available units. We also keep track of what they're asking for. So our current location has smaller units that are 1 and 2 bedrooms with detached garages, and we get a lot of inquiries for attached garages, larger units, and a second bathroom. So that is kind of bringing forth our development today and what we're proposing. So that's the location of our site. We laid our site plan on top of the map so you can kind of see where the new buildings are in relation to our existing units. And just a summary that is probably in your packet that we were working through with the staff. We do like to point out we're doing a recreational area on this site, and we are willing to work with the municipal staff to kind of go through all of their issues or all their suggestions that they had in their staff report to make sure it's a development that everyone can be happy with moving forward. I like to point out we do have an on-site property manager, a full-time staff person at that location, as well as cleaners. And all of our units do include heat, water, sewer, trash, and snow removal in the rent rate. So we find that that's very attractive. Half of our tenants are empty nesters that are looking for maintenance-free living, so everybody likes that inclusive pricing that we're able to provide. The 2 buildings we're proposing for this site are our Ashton building, which is a 16-unit building. There's 8 units on each side, and these are all 2-bedroom, 2-bath units with an attached 1-stall garage, and then there's an additional parking spot in front of that garage stall. These are going to be floor plans that are slightly larger than what we currently have on the site, but then we are meeting what we're being asked for on that site with the attached garages, the second bathroom, and more square footage. Then we would propose 3 of this building on the site. This is our Huntington building. It's an 8-unit building, and you can see the end units have a 2-stall attached garage and slightly larger units. The middle units are all 1-stall garages, but everything is attached. We do have this building currently at our Weston location, and it is always full. It's a very popular floor plan options. So we think between these 2 buildings, we'll be able to bring some new units to the market that are in demand, and we know that we'll be able to fill them. And that's just some pictures of our current units. So you can kind of see our interior finishes. As I mentioned, they're very well maintained. These are some of our current locations. And we do try to incorporate some green initiatives on our site. I also like to mention that we are a private investor, so there are no tax incentives, no partnerships that we're seeking on this property. It is truly our company's private investment into your community. We utilize local lenders. We will be the general contractor on the site, and we handle our own project management, but we do hire local contractors for the trades and the labor on the site. So that will be providing jobs. We do source materials locally whenever possible as well. And I also like to point out that we are very involved in the community. So when we are here, we do tenant appreciation events right on our site, and we also do fundraising and things for local causes. And our on-site property manager gets to choose what she wants to be involved with. So we really want to make sure that you know that when we build here, we're here for the long term, and we're very invested in your community. So I just included a few pictures of some events that we've had and some fundraising we did for the food shelf and some other things that we do in the area. So just to kind of give you an idea of the kind of company we are and what we're looking to do and continue to do here in Waupaca on our site.
Very good.
Any questions?
Yes, I just have one question. Are you planning on building, or when you start the building project, to do all the buildings at one time?
Yes, when we start our construction schedule, we have this project slated, if we're able to move forward, for fall of next year. And once we start the first building, we'll move through the entire site.
Okay. And as long as you're talking about a time frame, so about how long would that take then to, given that the weather, and I know, but in general, how long would that?
It'll be a little over a year, so possibly 15 months is what we have it on our schedule for.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Jackie, which I didn't think to ask yet, but I'm just curious what the price points on these are. I think to that earlier slide, I think it's 695 to 895 or something like that. I
Yeah,
was just
those are the
curious.
ones on our current properties, and so this will be slightly higher, so they'll probably start around 950 to 1150 for the rent rates, and that does include the utilities.
That does. Okay.
Can I ask you a question about your, you were looking at the market demand, and you showed us a little bit of a chart. Where does the data for that come from? I mean, do you do a survey of sorts, or is there sort of a Wisconsin market out there that helps you with that?
Yeah, the chart that I used was from CoStar, so they kind of are like the MLS for commercial properties and multifamily. So they pull a lot of data, and they usually have fairly accurate information. And then, of course, we always judge demand based on our sites and our number of calls that we have coming in as well to kind of support that and back it up.
Can I ask you, just because you showed us you have 23 sites, I think you said something to that.
Yeah.
Are all of your sites as filled as much as this one, or?
This has actually been the strongest site over the last year. We have, most of our sites are averaging 96% occupancy, so very strong, but not as strong as this location.
Thanks.
Justin, are the city utilities all there for this project?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then also, this Stone Ridge Road, is that a private road or a city road?
I believe that's public.
Do we plow?
It's deeded road right away. It's not fully improved. So it goes up to the existing, partially up to the existing apartments that are there, and it stops. So what they're looking at for their future development is that the road would have to be improved all the way to the cul-de-sac. There's a cul-de-sac at the end there.
And so then
We
we
would-
would be responsible for maintaining
We
it?
would be plowing it, yes.
Okay.
And Justin, all of the traffic in and out will still go on the existing road? There won't be another exit off of 50?
The way I understand it, that's correct. There wouldn't be another access point, just a single access point into the Stone Ridge apartments or the road there. There is a turn lane that was built on when they did the first thing. So, I mean, as far as traffic impacts, I don't think it's very minor.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments for the property? So we're looking for approval of, sorry, I gotta go back now.
I think it was a recommendation to Common Council to approve the rezoning of the two commercially zoned properties to residential use.
I thought we already did that. So,
You mean,
I thought we had already rezoned that, but that's what we're doing tonight, is just rezone?
Yeah, it's just a long,
Okay,
cumbersome process, so
Okay.
I think you get it, like, comes back between Plan Commission and Common Council, you see it like 4 times, so.
okay, so we don't have to approve the PUD or anything like that at this
Correct.
time?
Yeah, just, yeah, that, in fact, thanks for the reminder, just a kind of context. So this would go forward from here this evening. Common Council will review the ordinance amending the comp plan in November 19th. On December 3rd, the council would adopt the ordinance amending the comprehensive plan, essentially updating the future land use map for that area to show residential versus commercial. And then Plan Commission will ultimately review the final development plan and recommend adoption to the Common Council of the PUD. So that will come a little bit further in the process. I'm guessing it could come as early as December 4th. I'm guessing they're not quite in that big of a hurry. It'll probably be first quarter of 2020 where they would come back with that final development plan for approval. That's all right.
Okay, so what,
so we need a recommendation for
oh,
council?
yeah, we need to recommend to council the rezoning of this.
I'll make a recommendation that we rezone the property from commercial to residential.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Fair and a second by Barrett that we recommend to council the rezoning of this property And let's remember too, it's not just residential, it's multifamily residential too. What is that,
R3, I believe.
R3?
Do we have to
I
specify?
don't know if we need to specify that. I don't know if we need to specify it to that, that definitively, but I think it's fine. That's what they're proposing to do.
So so if they change their mind and they end up putting single-family homes on there, we don't care?
Well, they have to, they'll have, like I said, they'll come back and we'll have to approve the final development plan with their final proposal. But, yeah, I had left it more generic, but if we want to say R3, make the recommendation specifically for multifamily, I think that'd be fine.
Okay.
Brian, are the lines or the boundaries of this property the end of our city property line?
Actually, yes. I don't think any of those houses are in the city that are west of there.
That is correct. That's the boundary.
Yeah.
Going to
Boundary right
the
there.
west for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we have any obligation to those people to make any kind of notification prior to?
Then the public notification.
Yeah, Rhonda followed the protocol, so the surrounding, I forget the distance, but the surrounding neighbors were notified of
They
the
were
public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
I think also, I mean, when they put in their original units and stuff like that, we made sure that we would have the ability to go west with our utilities also on that property too. Justin, is that?
Well, I wasn't here when you put those original
You
ones
were in
in,
middle
but what year was that?
Grade school.
Since we're talking utilities, I'd love to speak on it, of course. We do have sewer and water all the way out to the Foxfire Court, that area. So we have sewer and water all the way out there. Can go out a little to the west, a little bit. So yeah, there is some potential for future growth out to the west.
Yeah, I remember us, even with the cul-de-sac, we made it so that if anybody wanted to expand into that property to the west, they would have the ability to do that. And maybe that's why it would become a city street too then.
Is
Sorry,
that
I'm
why,
getting off base.
Justin, on these maps, are these lift stations that are marked here? You know, these little
That's storm sewer. That's a
storm sewers?
storm sewer end wall.
Okay.
Okay,
Do you anticipate any upgrade, you mentioned, of Stone Ridge Road? Are you gonna have to do anything there?
To the existing road, no,
Yeah,
no.
because you said it was not quite finished,
Unimproved.
unimproved.
Beyond where their driveway is to the west of the cul-de-sac, it's just a grass field. So it needs to be an actual road. It needs to be built as an actual road.
Okay. And is that our responsibility?
I would believe that would fall upon the development.
Okay.
We were under the impression that we would build it to city specifications and then hand it over, and then all the things coming off of it would be private drives into our actual units off the public road.
Yep, exactly.
It does look like there's one house that is within our boundaries in that property, right? And are they aware that we're gonna have a pond right next to their property?
There is, are you talking on the very western?
Yeah.
I don't know if, could you flip back to your little site plan map, or that page? Oh, maybe we're.
One more.
Oh,
I got it.
oh, you've got it, okay. Okay, I guess Justin's got it. I believe that there is an existing infiltration area or stormwater pond on the southwest corner of that site,
Yeah.
Justin.
There's a stormwater, I don't know what the exact term is, but it's basically a stormwater area that's already existing there. So it's a depression in the ground that collects the stormwater. There's a house immediately to the west of it that is not within the city limits.
Oh, it's, okay, so it goes around them?
Yes. That yellow line, Eric, is the city limits, the border, so.
It just looked different on what I was looking at.
Shows a
And I guess I should mention that with, they will be coming back with the more detailed stormwater plans here. I think so they'll need to go back and kind of rerun their stormwater calcs to determine whether or not their existing stormwater, whether they have existing capacity there with the system or if they'll need to do some additional treatments.
Okay, you all set to vote on the recommending the rezone to the city council? If so, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Good luck. Sure we'll see you again. All right, certified survey map, Waupaca School District, 905 10th Street. That's you, Aaron?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is what I touched on a little bit in the public hearing. Again, this is the old bus garage property with the development of contracting that service out with Go Right Way and their development in the industrial park. It leaves that property with the school district and really not a use for it, or a use for half of it in the future. So they're looking to subdivide it. And that is on page, I believe there's a good map on page 23 in your packet. That up. It's not working here for me. There we go. And correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, but I believe it is the school district's intent to keep lot 1 and 2, which is the southernmost lots, and then sell off lot 3 and 4. That lot 4 is what we had talked about in the special use process with Home and Away Ministries. And just for some reference here, to the north of that, Columbia Street, that would be where like the old maintenance building is for the school district, and H.H. Hinder is just north of that, just so you know what kind of you're looking at. In dividing these lots, we've spoke with Rhonda Rollins in our office and looked at the certified survey map, and there are some buildings that are still non-conforming, but they've always been non-conforming. We're not creating any more non-conforming buildings. So there's no real concern with that. There is an easement that I would like to turn over to Justin to talk about real quick. It's a utility easement where there may have to be an agreement between the property owners in the future. Justin, I'll let you speak on that. It's on the north part of Lot 2 going into Lot 3.
Yep, so maybe I can highlight it right here. Oops. That's the approximate area of easement. We have sewer and water in there. I found out there's also We Energy's underground gas line, and then WPS has an overhead pole in line. Reached out to those utilities. We Energies would be interested in knowing what would be going on as far as subdivision, and I believe we gave them your contact to get a hold of you as far as that goes. Sewer water utilities, it's not, it's a private lateral, so as far as the city's concerned, it's not a big issue. It's just as long as people have access to the laterals, shouldn't build over the top of it, and that's about it, so.
And the power, WPS, they didn't have any issue?
WPS did not, no. But there's a pole back there. I'm not sure exactly where it is. But with some overhead lines servicing these buildings, so.
One other thing I want to touch on, so you can see the line that runs north and south between Lot 3 and Lot 4. It's kind of crammed between buildings there. The surveyor did note that does meet all of our required setbacks between there, so though it looks close, it is in compliance with our setbacks. And then so is that line that, just juts to it would be the east there. That's a newly created line as well. That also meets the setbacks. And every other line you see that's close to a building was already in place already. So nothing else affected. So it'd be staff's recommendation to approve this, the subdivision of this property, or the division of this property.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Keelan, second by Olson, that we approve of the, or recommend the certified survey map with the subdividing of those parcels on 10th Street, 905 10th Street. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, and then we have one more thing. With that same property, we have a special use permit for Home and Away Ministries is acting as the agent for that special use permit. Same address, 905 10th Street.
Correct. So, Home and Away Ministries plans to use this property for the repair and maintenance of their trucks, tractors and trailers, semi-tractors and trailers. This is not their primary use, which was the only question we had talked about of their organization. It's kind of a secondary use. However, this property has been used for that exact purpose for years and years and years, even dating back past the school district having it. I understand it was a truck facility, a repair facility at that point. So it would not be negatively impacting, in our opinion, the neighborhood or any surrounding businesses. Really, from our standpoint and from everyone's standpoint around there, it should be kind of business as usual as they move in and start those operations. You can see in the report their application and some notes on how that may look. And really nothing, I guess the only thing I will say is that because it's not their primary operation is for signage and things in the future, technically that would not be allowed. But that's really not pertinent to what we're talking about here with this special use permit, so.
Aaron, do you have any idea how much truck traffic is going to be utilized, or on a regular or semi-regular daily basis?
Yeah, we talked about 6 to 8 trucks. Is that correct, guys? Yeah, 6 to 8 trucks a day. There will be some outside storage of some trucks possibly. There could be 2 or 3 kept outside. They can fit, those are double bays, or the doors can fit 2 in. So we're looking at fitting about 6 inside. So 2 might be outside. Then we also have so employee parking. There's going to be 2 to 3 employees there. They will be parked outside as well.
Anything else? Do they don't plan on parking, running reefers there or anything like that? So, I mean, they won't be idling all
No,
night long.
that's not our understanding.
Okay.
So from your understanding, the trucks and the facility will be just used for either parking and or for repairing and working on the trucks. They're not loading or unloading anything there.
Correct.
The only reason I asked it, because one of the photos showed some pallets of things here. I'm not sure where that was.
Yeah, that's just actually, there's still probably school stuff in there.
Oh, that was the school related. I didn't know if that
Some of the
was
photos on there.
Ruby's or not. Okay.
So yeah, it just is showing the property and what it looks like. There will be no loading and unloading of things there.
Okay.
And so, as far as the special use permit is concerned, once it's put on that property, it's permanent? There isn't any requirements for us to review it in the future or anything like that, or?
That's correct.
Okay.
And are we making that decision or recommending?
Recommending to council.
Recommend.
Anybody else have any other questions on this property? Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Keelan, that we agree to the special use permit for that property on 10th Street for Home and Away Ministries acting as the agent for this property. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Good luck. All right, next up, we have offense ordinance, and Aaron, you said you were going to address that for us, so.
Yeah, so everyone, I know this has been on the docket here for a couple months now, this being the second, I believe. So we have been working back and forth with Tom Hart and trying to get some language that cleaned it up. If you guys remember the conversation we had, Mr. Burrington came in and gave a good presentation on an interpretation of our code. And then Mr. Kinnear at that point had brought up some of his experiences and how the definitions of a rear yard and a front yard and all of that should be handled. So what we have right now in working with Tom Hart is we have some definitions written. We're not 100% confident that we know that will alleviate our current issue, but we're not sure that it won't create others. So really, with us just signing a contract this morning and getting approval last night to work with Mr. Sanders on this chapter of the code, chapter 17, we said, well, we're not in any rush right now to do this now, knowing we could be creating a problem that's unforeseen. Let's let Mr. Sanders, who's an expert at looking at all this, weigh in on it in the next couple months, and let's bring something forward at that time.
And just for planning commission members that are not on city council, Mr. Sanders is the individual that, I think it was in August, made a presentation about the zoning in our community, and it was quite extensive. And like Aaron said, we just signed an agreement for him to help us with the rewrite, so, yeah.
Right.
So his expertise will be used not only in this area, but he's going to look at all of our zoning?
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be,
Does that come back to the city planning or the council or both?
It's gonna run through city planning,
And then back to the,
yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
so anyway, so this was on there. We have something noting that we're going to distribute something. We do have that, but we didn't feel that was necessary tonight, knowing we're going to go through this other process. So that's more of an update than anything.
Okay, under discussion items, anything on comprehensive plan and zoning code update?
I'll just make it real brief because I think I've given the same update the last 3 months, but we are gearing up to get really hit this thing hard now with Jeff's contract being approved. I've been working with Aaron back and forth. We've put together a work plan and a detailed scope of work. And I just want to mention, we're hoping to sort of kick off both of these projects concurrently here fairly soon. So we're going to meet on Friday and kind of nail down a date, but we're looking at doing a project kickoff meeting for the comp plan as well as the zoning code update here within the next two to three couple weeks.
Yep.
And so this will be an opportunity for the city to really look holistically at economic development, transportation, housing. I think it's kind of exciting time to revisit the comp plan, make it a little bit more strategic, and especially with having Justin on board here, relatively new, Aaron on board. I think it'll be a fun exercise to go through and provide more of a strategic roadmap for the city over the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll certainly have that'll be on the docket for the next several meetings with you guys. I guess I should also mention too, as as we're going through this process, if there's key issues, you feel need to be addressed through this process, or opportunities you see for us, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Aaron or others, and keep, we're going to rely on you guys too to kind of be our ears in the community as we move through this process. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think as we move forward here, and we've talked about this for the last few months too, I think that the West Fulton Street corridor is a good starting point, quite honestly. I mean, it's, with a couple of big boxes empty there, plus another request, I mean, that would be a good place for us to start. And I know there's a little bit of urgency to get something done there too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll try to do some of these meetings and conversations, make them maybe a little bit more geographically focused or topically focused. Sometimes that helps get people more engaged, just like with your downtown plan. If you have kind of an area and you're talking about specific projects, et cetera, it helps get people more engaged. So that's a good reminder. And I guess the other thing to mention is we've got a lot of other plans you've recently completed. So we're also, we don't have to completely reinvent the wheel in terms of your downtown. You have a pretty good downtown plan. Just won an award for your arts and culture plan. So I think some of those other plans, we can incorporate those items and recommendations directly into the comp plan and focus on some of the areas like Fulton Street that need a little bit more attention.
How soon, Andrew, will we be receiving some of that information?
Probably next month. I'll have present to you kind of I'll present some existing conditions, kind of background information, some trends, try to put together a trends report to kind of, highlighting some of the land use, economic development, transportation trends that we're seeing out there. And then as we get into next year, we'll start bringing forward, a chapter at a time, and to each month we'll spend some time working on land use or economic development or transportation. Then we'll stagger those so they'll have a couple kicks at the can for each of those.
And Pat, I think even before next month's meeting, I think we'll have a schedule and timeline put together, and we can email Plan Commission that schedule, because it'll be public input based, and we'll certainly be looking for your guys' input as well.
Aaron, anything on economic development projects that we're not aware of, or that we are aware of that are near completion or anything?
Right now, one thing that we are working through, Justin and I, Presto, is looking for a variance and looking to expand in their location. We have a meeting set with them tomorrow, it is, I believe, to talk about that. It involves another rail spur, and we just want to make sure that all is taken care of and doesn't negatively impact road crossings and things like that. But we're working with them, and we're confident we can get to a point where we're starting that project soon. I don't know. I think you guys are probably pretty well aware of the rest of everything. That's kind of the big one, I think.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So our next meeting is on December 4th, but if you go to January of 2020, that actually would fall on January 1st. So plan on switching the City Planning Commission meeting for January to the 8th. So it will be the following week. Yeah, okay. And then, let's see, the only other thing I have tonight, and this is just FYI, I don't know if any of you saw that we have a chili cook-off going on tonight at the Danes home. It's a fundraiser, so if you're hungry and want to taste some good chili and some bad chili, head on down there and make your vote on that.
That's the police and fire
Yeah,
group?
yeah, a little competition between them and stuff. So it would give you a good opportunity to take a look at the Danes home again too, of course. All right, anything else for the good of the meeting?
Hope to adjourn.
Motion by Keelan, second by Olson, that we adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're adjourned to exactly 6 p.m. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe trip.